Uh, yeah. You already know I'm trained to go. It's about 8 o'clock for my favorite show. All the latest news on your radio. Yeah. Had to start a wave, then I changed the flow. Y'all know who the best is, the Urban Collective.
All right, what's up, everybody? It is your First Lady, Miss Bernadine Truth, alongside...
It's your main man that I see. What's going on?
Yes, and we are the Urban Collective Show. We are super excited for this particular segment. You know, it's that time where we get to highlight an amazing person in the greater Boston area who's doing phenomenal work, phenomenal things. We like to call them our celebrity guests. So, I'm really excited to introduce you all to Oompa. If you don't already know who Oompa is a nationally acclaimed Boston-born poet, rapper, and educator who is forever representing the queer, black, orphaned, hood kids and them. I love that, and them. and them, baby's kids. I love it, everybody's kids. She is the winner of the 2018 Unsigned Artist of the Year Award from Boston Music Awards after an unprecedented 6 nominations. The 2017 Women of the World Poetry Slam was a finalist at the 2016 National Poetry Slam. She has been featured on NBC 10, in the Huffington Post, Alston Pudding, Mass Apparel, and Killer Boombox, the Boston Globe, Dig Boston, and many others. My gosh,
that's so long.
Just to name a few.
I know.
I mean, is there any other Boston resource not mentioned? Metro. All right, so Oompa's debut album, November 3rd, was named one of Dig Boston's top 30 local albums of 2016, one of Alston Pudding's favorite albums of 2016, and she just released her second full-length album, Cleo, in August 2019. And that August 2019, Cleo, phenomenal.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Now that you're done reading the bio.
Right, the bio. God. Y'all, without further ado, please give it up for Oompa.
What's going on? How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. Oompa,
absolutely.
Tell the people who you are outside of this bio and outside of what we just read. Who are you?
What are my limits?
Something you don't usually tell.
No, I'm saying, can I say whatever I want?
Whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah, not limited, whatever.
Oh, okay, cool.
Be you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just a regular ass Roxbury kid.
Alright.
That's it.
I swear we had to be lobbying for Roxbury in this show.
I know.
It's like almost every other month I have somebody from Roxbury.
Which is amazing.
The town is doing it. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So, we're excited to have you to talk about the work that you do as a rapper. I know you had history with spoken word as well. You speak about, being a person of color, being part of the queer community, and putting your heart and soul out there in the world of artistry.
Word.
What got you into this work to begin with? What was the first aha moment?
I didn't think it. I don't know. I used to be a rapper, and I used to be a rapper.
I'm not like, wait.
I rapped in middle school. I used to rap with my boy at the lunch table, and we would battle rap
and everything.
Yeah, all that stuff.
I remember tapping.
You tapping it with the pencils, but I
We didn't have cell phones and stuff like that.
Back when you were actually talking to people, you were with,
right, in front of you,
a concept,
a concept.
In that moment.
Yep.
Crazy, the world.
Yeah, we used to rap and we used to go for each other. It was crazy. We'd come, everybody, and it wasn't really freestyle at the time. We would come back to the table yo, get him, yo. I hope he's wearing that jersey again, cause I'm about to lay into him with that. So we would do that, and then I was like, okay, I didn't know that. I just didn't know it was possible for somebody to be a rapper as a real thing. It just kind of felt like rappers were already rappers. You as a young person, you don't see the come up or you don't see the whole process. Those are just the rappers, And so I think I put it away in high school when I started doing poems because I had 2 friends who did this thing called poetry, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, it's kind of like rap, but it's not. And I started being around that, and I tried that out, and then I got to college, did the same thing, but I would do it for myself.
Gotcha.
And then it wasn't until they had a talent show. I think it was in college, the talent show, and I was like, why not? Let me just try this real quick. And I snuck out a few times and just was like, I really enjoy this process, of thinking about the world in a particular kind of way and trying to understand it through this medium. So I was like, let me just keep trying it. And I was really trash, and I just stayed committed to like learning how to do it right, and I think
And here you are.
I did pretty decently.
So for
Amazing.
Thank you.
you, where did you get your name from? So was that something that was given to you? Did you come up with it yourself?
Nah, somebody gave it to me. Yeah, I used to play ball, and then one random dude just was like, "Hey man, like you play a first court up in Roxbury, Washington Park.
Mm-hmm.
You play in the first course, all the old guys up there. You play, they talking, they trash, or whatever. And one of them called me Oompa baby. Oh, he lobbed it, and I was balling. I was trying to ball, whatever, and somehow I just stuck. Everybody was dead dying because I'm short and chubby, and I always been, but I was doing my thing, and they just called me. It just stuck. Wow. So then it ended up going to the whole neighborhood. Like my school, my teachers, then my profession, my employees, employers.
Yeah, I was at the family call you that too.
Yeah, my sisters call me that.
But you have to introduce yourself as that too. If
absolutely,
yeah.
Okay, because I was like,
yeah,
where you just like,
yeah. Because at some point it's like, who are you? And it's like Oompa. Oh, okay, the chick over there.
Right.
So then it just became like, I'm Oompa. Like I own this. I know who I am. I know. I know.
Do you ever credit? Do you ever see that person and you're like, yo, you gave me a name that's like with me forever?
I wouldn't know him if I saw him today.
Wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know him. Yeah, I just remember it happened and we was laughing, and that was the end of it. Yeah,
and that name has stuck with you since.
Yeah, so shout out to that guy. Nobody ever said that. Shout out to that guy.
Because that happens. I have like a friend that's like that. Like his whole family, everybody smooth.
Yeah.
You don't call him anything else. Even his kid.
That's it.
Like,
that's it. That's why we used to have you sign that thing. Just I was like, you want that name?
Like nobody's gonna know who that is.
Yeah.
But you know what we do?
Wow. Yeah, you got that.
I'm glad she said that. Like,
I'm like,
that's
no,
a big up for you.
I'm obviously not gonna promote it. Nobody's gonna know who I'm talking about.
Right.
I know I'm not saying that, but you like felt like it was all big.
Because I'm like, that's an honor. Like we got to know some government.
Right?
We got to know the government.
Yeah, that's dope.
I'm just saying. I'm excited about it. But Oompa, talk to us. So I know you mentioned, you got into the artistry work when you were in middle school, right?
Yeah.
Not really sure that this could ever be something.
Yeah.
And then you continued on. You did some poetry in college.
Yeah.
But like after that, when did you realize I'm going to do this for real? What was that defining moment for you?
I think what it was so I was a teacher, and I had these.
In Boston Public Schools?
Yeah, BPS teacher.
Okay.
And I taught middle school math. Strangely enough, I was in math. That was my thing. I was an English major by force, but I started off as a math major.
And I'm like, English, math, okay.
Yeah, right. I graduated in the English major, but I
both
started as a math major.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I taught middle school math for a little bit, and I thought I had dreams of, so I still do, but on a different end, I had dreams of running a school one day, opening a school, and so I was on that track to do that, and that was what I loved doing, and I thought that was the dream, but it wasn't until basically I had a full-time job doing poetry and music at the same time that I had this full-time. So they actually sat next to each other, in my line of vision, and I was like, man, nothing makes me actually feel more alive than this thing right here. And that seemed like, even if I wasn't making as much money as a rapper that I was a teacher, I was like, man, I'm so much more alive, and this broken system is actually killing me. And I was like, I could probably be a better teacher doing this than I would ever in a classroom. And so I made a decision in 2017. I was already tight because they had me tight at like.
I'm
not gonna get into it. I was like, they didn't even know it was my last year. I was plotting in January for the June. I was like, I'm done. So June 2017 came, and I took the leap, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go. I would rather, fail 20 times and try this thing out. If it means that I could change if I could do this thing, I could change my life. My mother would be happy that I did the thing that made me the most happy. My family would have, my nephews and nieces could look at me and be like, damn, you could follow your passion and do something. And then on top of that, I was like, yo, I got these babies who are my kids. If I just leave them to do nothing, what's the point? Right. So I'm like, I'm gonna do this.
Right.
I'm really gonna do this.
And you did it.
And I've been doing it.
That's amazing. And you've been rocking it. I mean, a lot of people in Boston know you. What's also really exciting to see is that people also know you outside of Boston.
Yeah.
Right? And they're just like, okay, I recognize that name, I recognize that artistry. And I love what you were also mentioning as far as being an educator in the classroom and still having that be very much something that grounds you. You're just teaching differently. Right? And so by putting your heart and your soul out there in your work, right, you're still able to inspire people.
Yeah, and that's the key. Teaching is 99% of it is about inspiration.
Inspiration.
And you probably don't remember what you taught, but you remember that one person that made you feel something.
Yeah.
Right.
So this day I have like my favorite teacher from high school that I
Yeah.
still kept in touch with and everything.
It's
Right.
true. I mean, I think there's so much power in educators too,
Yeah.
right? Like you can make or break a young person's future, and you can think you just say something and you're like, they'll get over it, and that can make them love school or hate school,
Or hate
believe in
it.
themselves or hate themselves,
Yeah.
right? We have far more power than we think. So, have you been able to? Have you seen any of your students since?
I see they
And, like,
follow.
what is that?
They ain't found my music when I was still there.
Yeah.
Look at you. You had Issa Rae. You had an Issa Rae moment.
Yo.
I think about that from Insecure.
No.
When people were like, "Ain't this you?" And it's just like, "Can
It's
we
like,
turn it out?"
yo, you gotta chill. They were like, yo, girl, you love it. I'm like, yo, you're not even supposed to hear what I'm talking. Out of all the songs that you chose, they gonna choose the most. You know what I mean?
But
The
why
most sexual
not?
song.
But why
Why
not?
not? And that was a part of it too. You know, it was like I don't have to hide from them. They know who you are anyway.
Yeah.
That's
When
true.
you walk in the classroom, it's like
Yeah.
they know BS from BS.
Yeah.
So they gravitated towards me for a reason, and I'm like, you know, I can't hide from y'all. They would listen to my. They were like, yo. They would negotiate with me at some point. I had great classroom management because I don't treat them like statistics or prisoners. Like you're
Treat
little
like humans.
humans. You know what I'm saying? So they would just be like, at some point, they would band together against me. Like, oh yeah, you want us to be a community, right? You want us to activate. So we gonna do this thing for you if you let us play your album
Oh,
while
wow.
we do it. And it's
That's
like,
an honor.
oh man,
That's an honor.
yeah, it's an
How old were
honor.
they?
Middle
Grade?
school, so 6, 7, and 8.
Oh wow.
Oh
Yeah.
Nowadays,
Yeah.
they're like adults.
Yeah, right. And they hate my kind of music, but they love my music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's nice. I was gonna say,
Right.
yeah, to be listening to that type of music, most of the time they're not gonna be. So that's good. That's
Yeah.
really
That's
good.
real. But who were you inspired by in this work? Like top 5 rappers
Oh, top
or
5?
artists?
Oh, damn, that's hard. Don't record this list. 'Cause I don't know, it might change, but I think who moves me the most. I'm not gonna say the best, but who moves me the most, I would say Jay-Z, Kendrick, J. Cole, Andre 3000, Missy Elliott.
Okay, I can see that.
You can
Yeah.
forget about
I can see.
Missy.
I know people always forget Missy because it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I tell people this all the time. I remember those 106. Y'all remember 106 in Park?
And Beyonce, Jesus Lord.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Beyonce?
yeah, but 106 in Park. Sorry, I had to say that.
Beyonce's a great artist. I think she takes her craft very seriously. I'm debating her singing though.
no.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying.
she's-
Hold on, we're gonna-
Yeah, no. I'm a big hot fan. No.
Take note.
Listen, I'm a ride or die. I will pay $300 for her ticket, but I'll still be like, she's not the best singer in the world, but she's a great entertainer. She's a great entertainer, but
Yo,
I'm just saying.
Rock Nation, don't come for us.
Don't come for me. I'm just being honest. I gotta speak the truth. I gotta speak my truth. But I was gonna say, Missy Elliott, though, those 106 in Park days, and when they would have Friday music videos would drop, and
Yeah.
Missy Elliott faithfully would have videos that I would run home to go watch. She was amazing to me.
That her level of out the box thinking, creativity,
So
like that was
abstract.
more than anything what inspired me musically. Like I love Missy, but like that she's not.
Yeah,
but in terms of like being just you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get back to this Beyonce situation because we can't just gloss over that.
See? Yo, she be saying something. You know, like people say something about, you're like, why you say that out loud?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got to yourself.
Who's better than B?
Vocally, a lot of people sing better than Beyonce vocally.
I'm sure, but like
Yeah,
who are you
who-
naming
Okay,
as better?
so Whitney Houston sings better. Mariah Carey
Sing,
actually
sang,
sings better.
sang.
Maybe she
Yeah.
rest in peace. She's
Neither-
always alive in my heart.
Mariah Carey's voice is R.I.P. No, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that.
Now. Oh, right,
No, no.
right.
I gotta
you
be
see?
careful, I gotta be
Okay,
careful.
right. You still in the game.
I love Mariah Carey.
Remember that?
I'm just saying, you're right.
Mariah can carry some tunes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Fantasia, actually, I think can also carry some tunes.
She's amazing.
I think Fantasia just has like one type of music though. She's not really.
Jennifer Hudson has vocals.
Okay,
Okay.
you didn't say
But you
anybody
saw
who was
C?
better
Yeah.
than Beyonce.
Like, what about
I mean,
whole package?
No,
So you just
so,
talking about
no,
voice?
I'm talking about vocals.
You're talking just
Literally,
vocals.
I said yes. What? No, I can go to Beyonce concert by my. I don't see anybody at Beyonce's concerts. It's just.
So do you
Beyonce's
sit there?
routine.
Do you sit there and be like, nah?
No,
At the concert, you'll
no,
be like, she hit that note right.
No, hell no. But when I'm listening to her in my car, and I'm like, oh, this beat is dope. Her singing's not the best.
Really?
Production-wise, though, when you go to her concert, she's phenomenal. She has a whole production. I think she takes her craft very seriously as far as her backup dancers, her bands. Just aesthetics, phenomenal. I don't think anybody works harder than Beyonce when it comes to her concerts and her production.
So I want you to keep that. I want you to keep that same thing when we interview her.
Oh, well, I'm not even gonna talk.
Remember that.
That's gonna be the one
We
time
have-
where
we
I'm
have-
My mom is
silent.
still over here.
Right.
Yeah, right,
No,
right.
but when I'm interviewing Beyonce, I'm just gonna be like,
I'm like, bitch, you don't like your singing.
No, I'll still be like, Beyonce, that's my sister.
Top 2 if she ain't 2, okay?
Exactly.
Whatever. Queen Bee, listen, one Queen Bee to another Queen Bee, you good, sis. But
You stupid.
you just ain't a real
Besides your top 5, who did you grow up listening to, like in the house while you were up and about?
Aretha Franklin,
Okay.
my favorite of all time. Michael Jackson. My mother used to listen to a lot of funk, like Parliament Funkadelics.
Yep.
Like a lot of the, Marvin Gaye's and those kind of cats. I listened to a lot of TLC growing up.
Okay.
Yo, my sister had us. Y'all had 2 sisters. You feel me?
Oh.
So we used my sister Nikki. Man, rest in peace. She used to have us up in the morning Saturday nights. baby. Yo, we used to have to practice.
Yeah.
She was not playing with us. Like she would wake us up with water.
You
Like and
serious?
we would record VHS from anything from NSYNC to them to Bewitched.
Oh wow.
my goodness.
Anybody in concert, we would tape over the videos,
Yeah.
tape over them, and then she would go and study them, and then she would divide us parts. She had the lead, but then she would divide us parts, and then we had to learn all the choreo. We had to learn all the singing parts.
So did you guys ever do like talent shows?
Never. No, we just
did it for
we
fun?
were all shy. She was the
Okay.
only one that wasn't shy.
Gotcha.
My mother used to throw parties. I used to be like in the corner, chilling, don't do nothing. And then when I wanted to dance or sing a song, I would go to my room, close like me and my sister's room, go behind the door, and then do it there. I was that shy.
Oh wow.
So at what point did you? Well, to start, music sounds like and performing has always been part of your life.
Yeah, I think so.
Not
And I
even
haven't been thinking about
realizing
that, but
I mean, because how old were you when you were doing this with your sisters?
Probably like 9, 10.
Oh,
9,
yeah.
10. And I did catch that she said that she's no longer here. So
Yes, rest in peace. Yes.
Absolutely, thank you for sharing that. But then, at what point did you break out of your shell and were you like, you know what, I can't be this person who's dancing behind this door. I gotta dance in front of it.
I'm still shy.
Okay.
I'm still very shy. People are like, you're not shy. You be on stage. Da, da, da. But it's different. It's different.
Performing is different.
It's different. I feel like I'm in a whole different reality.
Yeah.
So it's different. But I don't know when. I just I think I've always been overly aware of myself in a space, even as a young person. And I think when I started to like love the space that I was taking up and love what I represented and thought that I had something important to say, and I thought I could do it, and like whatever, I just thought I had something important to say. I was like, it's more important for me to get this off me than to be shy and to be like, oh, you don't deserve this.
Right, and here you are. But as you're talking, I'm also referring to your bio, right? And you growing into yourself too, when you talk about how you're forever representing the queer, Black, orphan, hood kids, and them, right? So, and you're saying you grew into yourself and were able to, at some point, like, were able to love where you are and what you're doing.
Through life. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So talk about that as far as the intersectionalities of being a woman of color, being queer, being this rapper. Like, how do those worlds come together, and maybe even how do they divide?
Yeah, I think that they all inform each other. I think they inform the work and the work informs them. And I think I've been able to grow through my work as a person, and I think I've been able to grow as a person through my work and what it allows me to do. But I think that one way or another, like, we're taught, either subconsciously or consciously, or like explicitly or implicitly, to take up space, to be smaller, to be less black, to look more thin, to act more light skinned, to act like you got more money than you got. There's all these ways, respectability politics and the elitism of academia as a goal, and all this other stuff. Like, you always get told that like what you are ain't the right thing to be. You always need to be more of something or less of something, and I feel like the more and more that I have come to love myself and love who I am, what I represent, and not be so comfortable that I don't grow, it allows me to also own this body and these words and this music and this thing that I call a purpose, or this thing that I call a life, a career, and I just am able to just
take full control of your own narrative.
Yeah,
right. And you're saying like, listen, I'm gonna unpack, I'm gonna unlearn, right, to relearn your truths and your dynamic and how you operate in this world.
Absolutely, because who else? Somebody else is gonna do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody else with more privilege and who's told to take up more space is gonna do exactly what I'm doing now.
Right. What part of your identity do you feel like you were most silenced by, or told like you can't really acknowledge?
I don't know about most, but I'm inclined to say my blackness.
Yeah.
I'm inclined. Because when I walk out the door, you can't deny that.
That's true.
You know, like people would be like, "Is that a girl? I don't know, with the chin hair. I don't know." You can, you know, you can say whatever, but like, or like gay, straight. I'm pretty sure you know, but like you don't, you're not 100%. But I think that people will always respond to you being black because that's what they see, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that the implicit language and the implicit understandings came in terms of my womanhood. Like, you know, people kind of are like, "Why are you dressing like that? Why don't you? Why you think no? This is what you're supposed to be doing here." You know, it's a little, it sounds softer, but it's still equally, you know, aggressive.
Yeah.
And then when you think about being queer, it's like everybody got something to say there. You know, like everybody got something to say, or like they don't understand it. You know, and I grew up in a, like, my mother believed in God on Sundays.
Okay.
You know, like she was like holy on Sundays.
What was the Sundays? Did y'all catch that? Like Sundays?
My mom,
was like
she loves Sundays.
Monday through Saturday.
Yeah, you know.
Saturday, I don't know what they believed in, but on Sunday though,
she was,
we ain't cussing in the house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You put on the little white dress with the socks. You know what I'm saying? That's, you know, but you know, she actually she made it really easy for me to transition into being queer, because we didn't speak for like 3 weeks. She was not rocking with me, and then I was like, "Yo, look, like it's either this or it's not." And she was like, "Hey man, like I'm not even," she's like, I got things I could tell you about my life. She's like, we don't even have to worry about that. But she said, "I'm just worried about your safety. Like you don't have to be out here like doing the most, like, and drawing attention, because I'm not trying to turn on the news and see my daughter." You know what I'm saying? And I was like, "Damn, that's crazy," because she was like, "You're black, you're a girl, and you out here gay. Like that's gonna threaten somebody." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right."
So like,
that's a deep conversation though to have. How old were you when you had that conversation?
I got dragged out when I was 15. 15-ish.
Dragged
my
out?
sister was a hater. My sister liked girls
so
too, but she couldn't have her boyfriends over. But I used to have my little friends over. You know, they was just my little friends though.
Yo, I was doing the same. Like, yo, Ma,
it's my friend.
That ain't her friend, Ma.
Yo, that's what my sister did. She was like, "You think that? That's not her friend. That's her little girlfriend."
Shots fired.
Yo, she went off.
I feel it.
No.
Yeah.
What did you say?
I was like, no, I'm not even gay. What you talking? I can't. She was like, "So this your girlfriend?" And then she started blowing my Nextel up like 20 times. I was like, "That's not my girlfriend no more." Like,
But so on the music side, did you ever feel like you had to kind of, I wouldn't say hide it, but not come out and represent it? No. I feel like I feel like more of a representative than I intended to be. Okay.
Like I think that representation is important, and I've learned the power of seeing somebody that looks like you when you never have, or even when you know, like how much of a privilege it is to continuously see somebody that looks like you.
Right.
And so I realized in that way that, like, you know, it's like a lot of queer people being like, "Yo, I see myself," and so I appreciate that, and I think it's beautiful, and I want that. Like I want that for other people, you know. So I completely own it. But I think that for me, my queerness has just been. It's not a thing. It's not a thing.
It's part of you.
It's just a part of me. It's not like it's not a fad. It's not a thing to market me necessarily. Like I think it's become, but I don't think it's an intentional choice. So
I'd like to talk more about that a little bit, because as you speak, I think about my work being a motivational speaker in many ways, and I think having to grow into that responsibility. Right. So like you put yourself out there, you do the work, and I speak about being a survivor of sexual assault and trauma in that way, in certain capacities. And at some point in time, I'm like, I'm doing this because I do this. And then people start coming to you and you're like, you provide me with X, Y, and Z. You give me hope. And almost place certain responsibilities on you that you're like, I didn't even, that wasn't even what I was trying to do. But I appreciate it. I'm going to do it, right? I'm going to live up to that and be in that space. Talk to us more about that, because you're saying like being queer is who you are, right? It's not this extra element where you feel like you need to almost bring extra attention to it.
It's just where I lay my head and my heart.
Right.
That's it.
Right. You know, but what kinds of responsibilities have you, I guess, since growing and building and creating this platform for yourself, have acquired that maybe you weren't ready for with certain identities that you have?
I don't even know if I'm that important yet, that it's like overwhelming.
Oh, I think you're being humble.
I
think a lot of people know. I will say that because I think a lot of people know who you are when we post you and see you. And I think I say that in a way to say I really celebrate that and I really acknowledge it, because I do think you have a lot of support in the city of Boston, and your concert that you put on, which we'll talk about too. Boston really showed out for you, and I think that Boston really, really, really respects the work that you're doing. And there are a lot of people who say Oompa needs to make it out of Boston. Not to say that you leave Boston behind you, right? But saying like this is an artist that people need to march on and move forward.
Well, thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And I guess to answer that question, I guess in some ways I think that yeah, I don't think that like I think that I have an accountability to the people that like I have an accountability to people who like me or people who respect what I do. Mm-hmm. Not to be something I'm not, but I think like what I stand for, you know what I mean? Like I have an accountability to that, and in turn that means I have an accountability to certain people to like not disrespect certain, like I try not to disrespect anybody, you know what I'm saying? But like to make sure that like I'm not a representative for the whole of us, like that's not fair. But I think when I think about representation and what it means, right. I think about when people look at me, like can they be proud of that? You know what I'm saying? Like, am I proud of that? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't feel overwhelmed by that at all. I just feel like I get to be me, and people put onto that what they feel. Right. But I feel like I know what my sense of responsibility is to myself and to those people, right. and like I'm happy about that. Like I feel honored that somebody could look at me and be like, damn, like we could do this now. Mm-hmm. And I hope that many more people eventually will feel like that. You know? Absolutely. Yeah.
That's good. Okay. So you said you started to do poetry when you were in school, and then you went from poetry back to becoming a rapper. What led to that?
I love rap.
Okay.
I just love rapping. Like I loved poetry, and I love language, period. And I love storytelling.
English major.
You know what I'm saying? Like that just kind of happened to me. Right. Just on some weirdo. You know, I just been a weird. Like I've been like one of them. Like I keep getting ready to cuss, but niggas keep but like people from my whole like not my whole life, but like people always be like, oh, you such a T.I. in the face ass. Like you know what I mean? Like because he's just everybody next door, but then he's just like, you know, fictitiously. So people always do that to me. But anyhow, yeah, I just really love rap music. I love performing. I love rapping. I love the challenge of the craft. I love the culture. I love everything about it. And like I don't have to try to fit into hip hop. I don't have to try to like, and I think in a lot of ways there's a lot of elitism around poetry and what is poetry, what ain't poetry. You know, rap is rap when you hear it. Like so I just, you know, and then there's that, but then I've had like different, you know, experiences that haven't been the most, like I think I've had experiences in slam poetry that kind of went against my growth. And I was like, I'm walking away from that.
Tell us more, what do you mean by that? What was that moment like for you?
I think I got really hurt by that poetry community of mine because I put so much into it, invested so much, I think my artist identity into it, and I think that I don't necessarily I think a lot of stuff happened on the national level that really just had black women pit against each other. It was nobody did right by the black women in leadership, but all the labor went on to them. And I think the effects of that, like I think that was a macrocosm of the microcosms. Like it was like that's what was happening on these smaller levels. It's like all the hood black femmes were getting left out the conversation, like myself, or like pitting against the wrong people, and you know, like white like thoughts and ideologies were, you know, permeating the spaces and making us feel some kind of like, you know, like a lot of white people just like ran us out the space, gentrified the spaces, you know, like it was a lot of that stuff. And I just also didn't want to keep winning based on like who could tell the worst story the best. You know, I wanted us to like grow, you know, and I felt like in the ways that we were doing it at that time, it didn't feel like
well, you want to celebrate and acknowledge the triumphs, right? And be defeated by them.
Right.
Record or almost be in a position of competition by your pain. Like my pain is not bigger or worse than yours in a way to be glorified. Right. And off of that I'm being judged off of it. Right. And I'm like, you win or you lose, and it's just like
that. I don't really know if that's how this works. That's not how this trauma healing thing works.
I'm thinking her pain is the same.
Right, I'm like, I'm still trying to live this thing called life. You know?
Straight up.
But I appreciate you talking about that because again, it relates back to a conversation that you had at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, right? Where you were able to focus on integrity. And so you shared a platform with Jill Scott recently and other Boston-based artists such as Paloma Valenzuela and Ariel Gray, who was the moderator, right? When you were talking about integrity and how do you stay true to who you are as an artist, stay very authentic, transparent, and vulnerable in your work. Talk to us about that experience. Like, what was it like sharing a platform with Jill Scott and 2 other women who are doing great things in the city of Boston?
I don't even know.
like process it? It's been about a week. Almost.
You know what it is? I've been expecting it to feel like, you know, like when I was younger, like when I turned 21, like John Legend sang "Happy Birthday to Me" at my school, right? Or like met Lauryn Hill. I shared love with Elvana, like, and just these random happenings. I hugged Beyonce when I was 10, like when Survivor came out, and I had these moments where I was like, this is a larger than life experience. Wow. Oh my God, what is happening? And for some reason, it's not what I'm about to say is not about Jill Scott not being incredible and otherworldly, because in fact she is. It was about that I felt so in purpose that it didn't feel like I was having this out of body experience of celebrity.
You were on the same level.
I was there with her. She was somebody I admired, and the same way I admire you, or I admire you, or you, it was just that. It was just a mutual, not even mutual, because I don't know how she felt about me. I can't speak for her, but it was just an admiration for another human, because I felt so in purpose. Like I didn't feel like I was giving something I didn't deserve, or that I didn't know how to manage or handle. I felt right in line with what I'm supposed to be doing. So that moment just felt like
you deserved it. And so you were there, you earned it, right? So it wasn't something that was like you're super grateful for an opportunity that you didn't deserve and you didn't need.
And I am still super grateful, because it could. How many people in here in the city or not in the city could have are very well qualified and could have had that spot. So there was some bit of curation and choosing me that went into that, and I'm hella grateful for that. It was just like the moment didn't feel overwhelming, because it felt in fact like, damn, yo, you could be here, and that's like everything you believe about yourself. You believe in this moment.
Well, and I think the beauty in that too is like you were fulfilling your purpose, and then your purpose was actualized in these spaces. And I say it was the same thing for all three of you. The other three that were part of that conversation, and it was amazing to be in the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, a museum that was created by a woman. She built a whole house for herself, and then to have women talk about being authentic and having a sense of integrity and all of the work that you all do, to touch on different angles of the craft of artistry, right? Between being a producer, a writer, a singer, a rapper, a moderator, a curator of brave spaces for individuals. I thought it was a dope space to be in. So,
it was. The symbolism was on point. Shout out to Kat Morris from Bands.
I was like, how did that conversation even come up?
Because Kat is a genius, and she's changing the landscape.
She's
changing the landscape. The fact that I walked into that green room, right, and I saw everybody in the room, and I just thought, it's like some of the organizers, whatever. I see all my friends. I see Ariel, OJ Slaughter. I see Paloma, and whatever people are there. And I just walked up on Jill Scott. This is the woman with an afro, and I just was like, yeah, yo, what's up? You know me, extra as hell, walking, da-da-da-da. And I was like, I literally did that. She was like, well, hello. And I was like, yo, you do hugs? She was like, I'll shake your hand first. 10 minutes later, she was like, can I have a hug? But the point is like, we were all in there. We ate out of plastic plates together. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we had a conversation around the table together. We drank the same bottle of wine together. And that was an intentional leveling. And we all went on the tour of the museum together.
Nice.
Like, Jill Scott was in her socks and slippers. We went together. And that was Kat Morris being like, I see your contribution and your contribution and your contribution and your contribution being on the same level.
Exactly.
And we sat there together, and she made that happen. And I'm just like, man, I don't have words for the kind of gratitude.
For people who don't know, I'm gonna give Kat her recognition and her plug, because she is the brain, the genius, the heart and soul of BAMS Fest. And if you all don't know, BAMS Fest has been in the city of Boston for 2 years now, only getting bigger.
10, like maybe she's been working on it for 10.
For 10, right? As far as like the second festival that has taken place, right? I mean, purely crafted to the T type of event in our city. And I mean, this woman, she's doing it with her community, with her village for sure. But she has a pure heart and soul for this work, because she is intentionally breaking down stereotypical narratives that people have with people of color in our city, and also calling out other people of color to bring their own narratives of each other. And I love that she's challenging
and
people
hiring artists,
soulfully, hiring artists, paying them, recognizing them, celebrating them, and then also being able to pour into her own cup too. So if you don't know Kat, get to know Kat. Celebrate her, acknowledge her. But we're bringing it back to you, Oompa. You know what celebrity gets right now.
I want to kind of focus more on the album. I know we talked about a lot of other things. So one of the biggest things is, what does the name Cleo represent for you for the album?
Cleo, set it off.
Yeah.
Cleo, the main character. Cleo, that was representation again. It's the thing we're talking about. I never seen anybody that even remotely looked like me on TV before, and I didn't even know what the language was for her. I just had it. She was just impacting me. But the point, the reason why I named it Cleo is because I was thinking a lot about the continuation of the story from the first album to this one, and about like that place in my life. I was going back a little bit to like to unpack some of them stories, and I wrote like 100 plus, like almost 200 songs, and I was getting ready to throw the whole. I narrowed it down to 22, and then I was about to throw the whole project away, and everybody was like, "Yo, chill. Once you get in the studio and really like knock them out, like it's gonna be better than the demos. Just keep it." I'm like, I don't know, and I was about to give up, and I saw the movie. I just was like, I'm gonna watch Hood Classics today, and I just watched Set It Off. And everything started to come together.
Oh, wow.
And I was thinking about how people used to call me Cleo, and how it was like an insult about my queerness. And then sometimes it was because I was the only like little butch running around with braids, like, you know what I'm saying? And so like, I was just like, dang, like, and nothing in that movie good happens. Like, nah, not from jump to the end. She's the only one that didn't have a story. That was a back line about why she showed up how she was. She was just angry, masculine, and then died. And so I was like, damn, like, I remember.
Like a G though.
Like a G though, but that's not. I didn't want everybody looking at that to feel like that's how I gotta go out. Because I used to feel like I gotta go like that. If I'm gonna go like that. My mother was like, yo, I just want to like. I didn't even know about like school, college, and until I was in 11th grade, and I already had scholarships. Like I didn't know I was gonna make it past 18, and a lot of people didn't either. My mother used to be like, I just want my kids to make it to 18. When I turned 18 in November of that same year, she passed away.
Wow.
So what I mean is like I don't even know that I even knew that I ever had a future. I don't even know that. It's not even a sad thing in my head. It was just I didn't know about it.
You're not used to it.
And I was like, damn, imagine how many people don't know that there's a possibility of a future for them that looks different from their situation now, including me. Like I remember that, and so I really just was like honing, and I was really gravitating towards those songs that were about that too. So it just kind of all felt like it was lining up perfectly, and I was like, how do I tell this narrative from beginning to end, give her some context, and then give her the possibility of a future, and give myself one simultaneously. You know what I'm saying? And so you just said a whole lot. So thank you for that. Sorry, I know I'll be talking.
Your mom, no, it's providing that rich context, right? So you lost your mom at 18. Your mom also found out about you when you were 14 or 15 because your sister dragged you out. Right? You lost how old were you when you lost your sister that you mentioned? Same year.
2006.
Was it the sister that dragged you out?
Yep, that was my homie. Yeah.
That's tough, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So you've experienced a lot of loss, and as you're talking, you're like, listen, I didn't even know I was gonna make it till I was 18, right? So that's a true representation of your environment, your world, and the spaces that you occupy. And to even think you had to go out, like, so Cleo, to me, that's a story of pain and accomplishment, right? And persistence and grit. Right? And being able to say, I am a product of my environment, and while my environment is part of my story, it does not define me, yet it is a definition of me, right? In many of ways. Would you consider this album a memoir of sorts, or is it truly an all-encompassing story of worlds for many people, or is it one of yours?
I don't know. I know that I just needed to say it, and I hope it landed for somebody. And I hope it continues to land for people, and I don't know where it fits in my whole story, and I don't know what the next part of my story is. So I just know that felt like the right thing to do at this time,
right?
And it's you know, and like whatever it will do, and I hope it does great things.
I have two questions for that. One is just like, what has that? So you talked about struggling and feeling like I want to get rid of this whole album altogether. Then you picked 22 songs. And then even then you're like, okay, I don't know, right? Like, so how did you narrow it down? And, you know, what was like the hardest song even for you to produce in this work?
Ooh, I narrowed it down because I literally was on Facebook and on social media like, yo, how do y'all feel about a 22 song album? And I was like, how y'all feel about a 17 song album? And people were like, give me all 22. Some people were like, yo, do not do that. Like, cut it down to an EP and you could have, it was just Rich actually. She was like, cut it down to an EP, you could have content all year long. And then I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm not gonna make a 22 song album for facts, but I'm gonna do this until I feel like the story's done. I'm gonna, if that ends up being 22, then I'm gonna give myself that. If it ends up being 8, I'm gonna cut everything and even if it's hard. And so I don't know, I just was like, trying to cut the fat. Like, can I get to the story without all of this? You know, I want to keep people's attention. And I think it's still on the long side. It's like 1 hour and 2 minutes long with the skits and all that stuff, excuse me. But I think that ultimately I told the story. I think now, you know, there might be a song or two I would have cut. But I think in that time, because it was confirmed, it is. It just is. And the hardest song to produce was Joy Back.
Okay.
That's one.
Yeah, so you said you recorded over 200 songs. So what's your recording style like?
I wrote over 200 songs. Over 100 songs. Yeah.
Okay, wrote over 100 songs.
Yeah.
So what is your recording style like? What inspires you to record like all those songs or just any song?
Yeah, I think I be in solitude and I just am like, I try to just tap into what I'm like, what I want to write about, what I'm experiencing, like what's interesting to me, and then I hear the music. So I scoured like the internet or the homies or whatever for like forever trying to find the one in that moment that feels right for this moment. And then I know it sounds like I'm an artist, but like whatever it sounds like it wants to be, that's what I try to tap into in my world. Like,
so you don't have like a preset, okay, I have this song made up in my head, I can find the right beat or anything like that for it, you kind of flow with it?
Not really. Usually it's the music first and then the song second. And then one, but I write every day, so sometimes I'm not around the music. So I'll still in my notes write about something and I still develop concepts or whatever like that. But like, it'll land when I hear the right song.
Gotcha.
Like this will come over there when it's the right.
So you still handwriting a notebook, or are you like digital?
I'm digital now. I'm digital now. I can't even keep up with nothing. So I'm trying to hold on to these AirPods for dear life. So I'm leaving that notebook where it's at.
Anything behind.
Yeah.
I want to bring it back to Joy Back because that's actually the one that I screenshotted. I'm like. And I should have just been reading because it says Cleo right here. Anyway, so on the album, and I feel like you put your heart and soul. I mean, I think you put your heart and soul in the album, period, right? But that particular song, talking about struggle, talking about society, talking about culture, talking about being able to stay authentic and true to self, but through pain and through sadness in many ways. Like, what were you going through as you were writing that particular song?
I wrote that song. There's a song that's not on the album. It's called Rocket. There's a song called That's Okay that didn't make the album. Joy Back, and then Thank You at the end of the album. I wrote those all at the same time. And I was in a really terrible place. I had just gotten out of a breakup. I was really depressed. I was on, like, I got this hormone imbalance thing. They put me on some meds. I was like, oh my God, I was feeling everything. It was too much. I felt like a whole Pisces. I was like, I'm good.
I'm a Pisces. Yo, what's that mean? Wow.
No, I love Pisces. Y'all just got a lot of feelings and guilt.
I don't know about guilt, but I definitely do have a lot of feelings.
Which, are you February or March? You're March.
I'm February.
Really?
21st. February 21st.
We'll talk. Oh, you're on the Aquarius cuffs, that's why.
I am.
Okay. Anyhow, I was in a really bad place. And I wrote all of these songs. I wrote Joy Back because I was really desperate inside of myself to find joy. And I had realized that I wasn't experiencing joy. Like, I remember like just being neutral or sad, and that was it. And those were only two fluctuations. And I was just like, man, like, let me really just dig in about all. So I was like, what would my depression say to me? That's the first verse. I mean, what would I say to my depression? That's the first verse. What is it saying when I'm looking back, when it's looking at me in the mirror? What is it saying to me? And then finally I was like, yo, like, I'm taking my joy back. Like, I'm offing you, like, you know what I'm saying? Everything that you were in my head thinking about, I'm taking that back. And I wrote Thank You at the same time. Thank You is the most joyful song on it. It's like about overcoming completely. There's a song called That's Okay. It's like, you made it this far without them, and that's okay. Got a few homies about it, and that's okay. Like, it's just like all the stuff is going wrong, but like, that's okay. Everything, because something else is going right. And then a song called Rocket about my breakup. You know what I'm saying? But like, I wrote all these sad songs and these happy songs in the same place, thinking about, different outcomes for myself.
So would you ever do kind of like a Nas where you do like a lost tape because you have all that records that's sitting there?
Probably. Are you Caribbean?
Yeah.
Where you from?
Trini?
No,
I'm
Haitian?
Yeah.
Whoa, yo. I just had a moment. I haven't heard this whole time. But I was like, wait, who am I talking to? Maybe, I think that...
has to be coming out, yo.
Yeah, it comes out here and there. It's very weird.
Yeah, I did not expect that. That's crazy. Yeah, I was like, huh? Yo. That's wild. Yeah, am I talking to the same dude? But I think that I still got a long way, a lot of albums to go and a lot of mixtapes to go. So I think it's just like stuff to choose from, so I don't have to be writing from scratch for everything.
Too early.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, too early for me to. I wouldn't even care about a lost tape for me yet. I only got 2 ones out, so maybe after like 8.
Okay.
After like maybe like 6.
I was like, if you recorded like 100 at a time, you're gonna have
never
right.
Know. Would you ever, because you put on a concert, there were like other artists there and all of that. Like, have you ever envisioned yourself in a stadium with a sold out concert?
Every day, every night.
Yeah.
Is that like
it's an artist's dream.
Yeah. Every day, every time I go to a concert.
What's the stadium you want to like sell out?
I gotta do TD.
Yeah.
I gotta start at TD at home, because if I could fill it up at home, I could fill it at my ideas. I could fill it up anywhere. Like if I could sell out the Sinclair, I could sell out the House of Blues. I could sell out the House of Blues. I'm gonna move over to Paradise. When I move to Paradise, God damn it, I'm going to Agganis Arena. And then I'm gonna come back home and I'm gonna get the TD Garden. That's the goal.
Who are some artists you'd like to work with along your journey? So I mean, you have some amazing features on this one.
You mean like
celebrities?
J. Cole.
Okay.
Kendrick Lamar.
What is it about them? I don't want to just say the names. Like, what is it about these
J. Cole?
artists?
You know he got a Taurus moon in Aquarius, and I knew it from jump. Point is, I feel like
I don't even know what any of that is.
Yeah, I was like, damn, okay, here I go with that shit again. But nah, I feel like I understand him on a like molecular level. It's mad extra, but I feel like I really understand where he comes from. I feel very similar to him and his approach, and he kills it. Like,
your flows would match.
Thank you. That's an honor. Yeah, I love that man.
See it, yeah.
I want to be signed to Dreamville, honestly. Dreamville or TDE.
Yeah, especially like for Dreamville as a record label, the way that he lets his artists be themselves and do their own thing. It's like not any two artists are the same over there.
Are we working on it?
I hope so.
Are we? I was gonna say.
Nice.
Like,
so I know you said the album you titled it says a short film on there. Because you based it off of that, is that why you did it? Because of watching the movie, or is it?
It was a short. I feel like if it was a short film on its own.
So it's because of telling a story.
The stories, the
like
skits, the way I saw it all as it felt like a day, like it felt like a whole day, but it also felt like a whole adolescence at the same time.
So with you being personal, and were you afraid at any times about revealing too much about yourself, or did you just say, you know what, just put it out,
I'm not afraid
see
of
it
that.
out? You're not afraid of that?
I was thinking about whether or not I was ready to tell certain stories.
Yeah. So on that aspect.
Yeah, but I think that if it comes out, it comes out.
What does self-care look like for you in that process?
If you find out, let me know.
Okay, so you're still exploring, like, how do you find that level of balance? And showing the world who you are, but then also being able to retreat.
I retreat. Like sometimes it's involuntary. Like I just go through phases where I literally can't text back. I literally can't send emails. I like not that like I don't even want to not be able to do it. I just can't do it. And it really, luckily for me, I have people around me that love me and are willing to pick up things when I drop them, so that things don't get too crazy. So like, my manager, one of my best homies, Alex, and one of my best friends, who I love dearly, Tay. Like those are people who pick up stuff when I drop it. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm lucky for that. But I'm trying to figure out what self-care looks like. I say no a lot now. Yes. I go places myself and I have no problem going by myself. I love, not now, I've always been that kind of person that could do that, and I find solace in that. I take a lot of showers. You know what I'm saying? I oil my scalp. But other than that, I'm a proponent for therapy, even though it's a hard thing to find in the city. But I'm still trying to find that balance for myself. Because all I'm interested in is working right now. And I gotta sit down sometimes.
Listen, I know that. I know the feeling of
I bet you do. I bet you do.
I don't do it, but I know it is something I aspire to.
Absolutely.
I know, but I hear you. You gotta grind. I do want to kind of bring us back though to conversations around Boston, right? Because you are Boston bred, and I need people to understand that, because when we have conversations about rappers and artists and all of that, it's just like people think about New York, people think about Chicago, people think about Detroit, like other places. But we have talent in Boston too. What would you say, how would you describe your experience as a educator turned rapper, as you're educating, but just another avenue in many ways in your craft? Like what has that experience been like for you, as far as like support or doors being closed on you, or opportunities coming up out of nowhere for you?
I think the transition, I think I'm in a privileged position, and I gotta acknowledge my privilege, because I come from, but I've learned to navigate institutions since going to college, for example, and being a teacher, you know what I mean, being a BPS. And so I think that I have the ability to code switch in ways that make people feel safe around me. And I think that that's one thing that's benefited me in one respect, but I don't think that it comes as a privilege that like I don't also work for. Like I work day in and day out. I'm up before anybody in the morning, and I'm done. I'm scouting the last opportunity at night, and then telling other people about that same opportunity, so they could get, so they could eat too. Like, so I don't think that it doesn't make me feel like guilty because I work my butt off. You know what I'm saying? But like I definitely realized that transition was a little bit easier for me because in order to, I think, to do well, you need to understand where the money is here and where the opportunities are here, and you have to know how to speak the language of the places you're in, and I think that's benefited me. And so my goal really it really be to take what I can get from that and then give it to other people, so that they don't have to feel like they have to code switch their whole existence, but also like to provide resources so that if you need to code switch and you want to learn how to do that for your own survival, by all means, like I can help you with that. But like the fact is we live in Boston. As much as Boston means to me, and like how my experience of Boston is a very like cultural and very like black and very ethnic one for me, and how I love to think about it, it's my romantic idea of it. The reality is that Boston is a very segregated and racist city and a classist city, and you gotta do what you gotta do here.
Yeah. Where have you found yourself code switching the most? What types of environments?
Everywhere that didn't already love hip hop before. It was cool to love hip hop. So
I see.
That's real. Yeah. How are you holding people accountable in these conversations and in these spaces?
I think, sometimes I take a break from it, honestly. Sometimes I do hold people accountable in my actions, right? Like, oh, okay, you said this thing. Yeah, I'm gonna need $10,000, please. Thank you very much. And I'm gonna pay 5 other artists way more than you were gonna pay them. Sometimes it's not even about me being like, you ain't nothing, why? It's just like, okay, here are 3 opportunities I'd like to present to you. And you'd be remiss to deny me access of that, because here's all the reasons why you should do that. You know what I'm saying? And so like I think in that way I resist, and sometimes I take a break from checking white people and checking rich people because it's too exhausting. It gets tiring, and what I feel depleted sometimes after that. So sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna go over here where they like me. Okay, like where they love me.
I gotta explain every 5 minutes.
No, be here. Right. And I'm gonna have to explain why I deserve to be here.
Right, and there are institutions who absolutely do that. There are institutions who absolutely love me exactly for who I am, or they tell me exactly what they need from me. It's like, look, I love you and I believe in you, and also this is mutually beneficial for us. And I know exactly what I'm dealing with. Exactly. Right.
So my last 2 questions for you. One is going to be, what word of advice would you give to others that's trying to follow in your footsteps to become a rapper, whether it's in this city, anywhere else, anybody that's listening in the whole collective?
I think craft first. Okay. Like I think a lot of people are like, I want to do this full time, and it's like, how often do you write? And it's like, when I can. It's like how often do you record? When I can. Are you saving any money from to invest in yourself? All right, yo. Like, I think that people need to realize that this is a business.
Yes.
So first things first, I think the craft is the most important. You can't be mad if somebody's not coming to your shows. You can't be mad if somebody ain't clicking on your page when you tag 99 people on Facebook. It's like, one, how are you working on your craft as an artist to become the best version of that you can be, so that there has to be somebody that turns their head. If 99 people are ignoring you on Facebook, that's feedback. Take that, get better at the craft. And then when that happens, I think that you gotta find creative ways to be heard. Don't just tag all these people, don't just drop up in their inbox like you know them. Like, find ways to get your voice and your body in space, you know what I'm saying? I think the third thing is, don't feel entitled to nothing. Nobody owes you a damn thing. Nobody owes you nothing. And then I think the last thing is, you gotta know that this is a business. Like the minute you start making money off it, it's a business. If you do it in your room, if you do it at the open mics, if you do it's cool. But when you start talking about you want to make money from it, you want to live, you want to change your opportunities in your life, and you want to level up, you want to increase your quality, increase your output, you got to treat it like a business. So you need to invest in yourself before anybody else can. You got to develop your product to make it to fit them. Like, you got to develop a product and be able to give it to a market and grow your base. Slow and steady. You're not entitled to 10,000 people. Don't pay to open up for this person $1,000 when you could put $1,000 into a demo and give people quality and push the hell out of that. Like, it's a business. You just got to be like smart. And if you don't even know what smart is, it's like, yo, we live in the age of YouTube. we live in the age of Google. I don't know nothing about nothing. I don't know nothing about business.
Google it. YouTube
what are some things
Talk
you've
to
looked
people.
Up? What are some things you've looked up?
Everything,
Yeah.
like everything. What is publishing? What are royalties? What are label deals? What are 360 deals? What are engineering basics? How can I cut out as much middleman as possible to stretch my dollar? Like, what are streams of income that I could have? Like, what is a brand? What is marketing? What is all this? Like, I don't know nothing. And I still don't know nothing. Like, and I have to know that I don't know nothing so I can keep learning. But it's all right there. You can get creative. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So.
Last question. What's your next steps in the next month, 6 months, year, 2 years? What do you see Oompa doing? What are you going to be doing? I know there's one thing you're doing, but also in the next year or two, what's it going to be?
Yeah, what do we have to look forward to?
Tour, more music, more growth.
Let people know about the tour, like where you're going to be heading, towns, cities, what
so
tickets and all that.
on the 21st, we're headed out to
21st of
October. We're going to head out to New York. New Hampshire, Rhode Island, New York, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago, Nashville, Atlanta, DC, and coming back home, tentatively.
Really?
No, I'm definitely gonna come back home.
Oh, okay, I'm like,
I
gotta be at that show. I was mad I missed the first show, so I definitely gotta be at that.
Oh, at the Oberon?
Yes.
Yeah, the Oberon is on November 9th.
November 9th. Okay.
Yep, and that one's gonna be the homecoming show, and we're gonna basically do Cleo 2.0. So like,
nice.
we did a lot that I learned from, and we didn't have any rehearsals together. It was just it kind of just came together, and this one I think I want to go bigger with a smaller amount of people.
Okay.
So
basically we gotta get our tickets like now.
ASAP.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna sit down for a while after that. So
I'm gonna say, I'm like, how? That's no sleep. That's just building clout. How do you stay connected to your fans and the people who genuinely support you and feel like this is a true organic relationship more so than something that's business?
Because it is. Like, it feels like that. Like I keep my boundaries, but like, I feel like it feels like that. It feels like a bunch of homies that love me and want me to win. So it don't even really feel like fans. Like, I'm not explaining it. It don't feel like, oh my God, Oompa, like da-da-da. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like, yo, you should win. I want you to win. Like, good job. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. And they're like, yo, do this, yo, blah. And I'm like, word, I'll take it. So I want to keep that as long as possible.
And you're doing it. I'm like, again, like I said, people in Boston are truly supporting you. I know in the podcast world, we are truly, truly proud of you. We're championing you on.
Thank you.
Boston radio stations may or may not do service, but like we are here and we are supportive and we are acknowledging the work that you are doing.
Yes.
Your passion, your heart, and your commitment to the city, but also sharing your story, and a story that is often felt but not always discussed.
Yeah,
so
wishing
you the best of luck.
Yeah, and how do you feel about being nominated for this year the Boston Music Awards?
It feels awesome.
It's awesome. So let the people know what you're nominated for and how they can go vote and everything.
I think I'm nominated for Best Artist of the Year, HipHop Artist of the Year, Album of the Year, Song of the Year, Best Live Act.
You hear that? So make sure you go vote. Go listen to the album if you have not listened to the album. Cleo, all platforms, Tidal,
all of
Apple, everything, Spotify, everywhere. Not SoundCloud, right?
Not yet.
Not SoundCloud, but any music platform you have out there, you can find it, purchase it, listen to it. It's a great album.
Thank you.
Oompa, tell the listeners where they can follow you, support you, and continue to engage with you.
Where I think the best thing anybody could do is listen to the project and then tell 2 more people about it. And so you can follow me at Oompa Loud, OOMPOUTLOUD.
Nice.
Yes. Thank you, Urban Collective Radio, y'all.
Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you again, Oompa, celebrity guest of this week, talking about what it is like to be a young person in the city of Boston, groomed in our school districts, in our spaces, and all of that, experiencing her own level of loss, growing into her own identity, becoming a rapper in many ways, also though initially an English and math major, but still always really focusing on inspiring the people through her words, through her actions, and through her genuine connections with the community. So, Oompa, thank you again so much for being here, for sharing a bit of your story. And we are looking forward to supporting you and watching you continue to grow.
Let's get it.
Yeah, and I see. We'll be right back.
Bernadine Truth. We'll be back.